So the Land of Dreams Community Farm is a 30-acre farm on public land. So the province of Alberta has put out a request for proposals back in 2017 to do an agricultural-oriented program that would benefit the community. And so I was involved in the design of that RFP and came together with other urban farmers, recognizing that a lot of newcomers come to Canada without access to land, and they come from agrarian backgrounds. And so we put them in cities and tell them to enjoy their lives, and that's always not necessarily the case. We put that RFP, we won it in early 2017, and then our first season growing on the Land of Dreams was 2019. Our central design at the Land of Dreams is of a medicine wheel, and part of that was also to kind of really create a sense of welcome and space for our Indigenous community, because if that's not part of your design, then you're designing them out. And so each plot is a circle, so there's 32 in each of the quadrants of the medicine wheel. And so the idea is that a family or a community group would take ownership of that plot, which is about the size of a small backyard. And the idea was for them to kind of then grow foods that they would want to eat themselves. There are basically three pillars that we focus on with the Land of Dreams. One is obviously creating a welcome space for newcomers. The second one is to build a relationship between newcomers and our Indigenous community. And then the third is that together we would all work to regenerate the land. So regenerate is a new term in agriculture that really is about kind of partnering with nature. And so it really does allow the newcomers to learn from how the Indigenous community has taken care of this land for generations. And that maybe we can all learn how to be a little bit more attentive to kind of what the ecosystem is requiring of us as humans.
I've been involved with the Land of Dreams for going on 4 years now. I try to share some history, some knowledge of who we are and what we are to the newcomers that are coming across into and working with the Land of Dreams. As Blackfoot people and from the Piikani Nation, we come from a very high spiritual connection with the source of life, or what they call Creator. In our system, we really believe that this Creator has given us all the proper protocols, the proper rules, the proper ways of how treating the earth and what is within the earth. When we were teaching at the Land of Dreams is to say, we don't expect everybody to know everything of the culture, but the high points of the culture, the protocols of the do's and don'ts of the land. Because Land of Dreams is a place where all newcomers come to that place, and they're foreign to this country. They have no knowledge about the connection of the land, but at the same time, they're trying to make this place as home. With the Land of Dreams going on 4 years, I've been attending and helping out with the ceremonies, blessing the land and blessing the participants, and teaching them about the protocols so that the success of their planting will be successful, whatever they're growing and planting at the Land of Dreams.
What I would say to somebody who would be interested in coming to the land is, if you'd like, we have a lot of activities out there. We do soil camp for kids. We do Indigenous teachings out there. We have blessings of the land by our Indigenous elders, as well as teaching of how to use herbs and medicines that are grown naturally. We have done in the past, we've done all kind of orientations on seedlings and how in Canada we have such a short grow time, especially in Calgary, where we would have start seedlings at home in kind of March, April, and then we grow them later on. So we do those partially we do like orientations online where we have Zoom sessions and we're teaching them how to do the little seedlings. We also have the beekeeping. So if you're interested in either learning about how to keep bees or how bees create honey, or even helping in kind of the harvesting of the honey, all of that can be done out on the land. You can, if you have a special seeds that you do not find in the stores here in Canada, because they're only available in your country, those also have been grown on our lands. We've done some Indigenous ceremonies like the blanket ceremony, where we're really teaching through kind of interactive engagement what the Indigenous communities of Canada experienced. And really, it's about sharing our lived experience as immigrants and refugees or newcomers, and how our lives intersect with the Indigenous people, with all other communities, and so where we find what we have in common rather than our differences.
I think the effectiveness of the Land of Dreams program is the fact that we all come from a place, and we want to be connected to place. Our urban lifestyle rips us away from that all the time. But it's interesting because I think it's the side of a highway, not really much going on. But the newcomers come to that place and they're like, it's like a park, or they'll say it's like I'm back home. And so there's something just about getting out of the cement and the concrete that really kind of grounds people. I think another aspect is that everybody eats, and so if we can have that visceral connection to foods that are from our culture, we feel more at home. We feel like this is where we belong. Part of the effectiveness of prioritizing our Indigenous community is because they were colonized, they were silenced, there was this effort of genocide. And if newcomers don't recognize and honor that story, then they try and keep fighting against a system that says you're different, therefore you don't belong. And so for me, like, the effectiveness of elevating the Indigenous story means that we all get elevated. And I think that happens, after we honor and learn from the experience of the Indigenous community.
The Land of Dreams, when I was first invited to go there and talk about the welcoming of the people of Land of Dreams, was a very a humble experience. A humble experience which was long overdue, that these kind of things, these kind of gathering places should have been done a long time ago. In the past, you had people before you that came into this country or into this territory, and by not having the proper interpretation or teachings, a lot of the times we were painted as bad people. We are not bad people. We are humble people. We are kind people. We're willing to share. We are giving people. We like to share the things amongst each other, to learn from each other, to respect each other. To me, I think it's like a place where a bridge was being built. So now with the Land of Dreams, it's getting to the point now of today where the bridge is built. So now people can go across and learn about the culture. Then they can go back and forth from both cultures to understand each other, to develop new programs, to develop new endeavors of not only planting, but to open other opportunities. So it's a place with open arms. It's a place with open arms and where everyone is welcomed, to be. And there's no other place that in the city that I know of that welcome people from that perspective.
We use a third-party evaluator to kind of do most of that evaluation. And so what that consists of typically is on-site observation. There are client interviews, We do interviews with staff and key players that are part of the program delivery. And then even just participating in some of our events, the evaluators are often there just getting photos, getting a feel for kind of what's happening. And in fact, they've often commented, like, you can't just write about this program, you have to actually show up and get a sense of the vitality that is there. What they find is that people really love their connection to the land. They love, like, I think in a newcomer's mind, it's almost like having access to a park or some land that's theirs to enjoy. And so there's a real positive reaction to that. Some of the more nuanced data that comes back is around the ability to pass on their culture to their kids. So they like the fact that they can bring their kids out. They'll come out on a Saturday or Sunday. The kids are safe to run. They love the fact that that's kind of this wide open space for kids to kind of be free. There's been a real positive recognition of learning from other cultures. So we do, we share food together, and so we're able to kind of understand cultures through the lens of their food. They love the dancing, and so there's been spontaneous times where the people from the Middle East will pull out their dancing as well, and other people join in on that. There's a sense of safety that people are also commenting on, where they are able to then just participate in something that's other, something that's different than kind of their norm. I mean, one of the surprise kind of results in terms of evaluation is, so Mosaic is a health clinic here, and someone had done a bit of a division of the one community group that's at the land compared to their community group in terms of health complaints to the Mosaic. And so what they found is that there was less health complaints in the group that were actually participating in the Land of Dreams. And so we're looking at that as some pretty dramatic evidence that something's working.
So the Yazidi women came to Calgary in 2017, extremely traumatized, after being held captive by ISIS for some time, some people a few months, some people a few years. Very, very traumatized population. And they mostly come from an agricultural background. And what we realized very soon is that many of them were facing mental health issues. They were unable to cope. Daily living was very difficult for them because of the trauma they had faced and the fears that they still felt after what they experienced with Daesh. And so very soon we realized that when we took them to the land, that they were the happiest there, that they didn't need the counseling and they didn't need the breathing sessions and the coping sessions. What they needed was to be connected to something that they recognized from their own countries to make them feel like they belonged, and also to start that healing. Because as the women did what they knew best, which was growing their own food, they felt more confident and they felt more alive again.
One of the things that we've discovered with the Land of Dreams is that a lot of newcomers do bring seeds back from their home country, and so it's this connection to their heritage, to their culture. There's two stories that we've encountered. One again with the Yazidi community, they really love purslane, which here is a native plant. It's a weed. So one of the Yazidi women came and saw it and bent down, picked it up, and put it in her mouth, and like you could just see her eyes transported back home. And I think we just feel like there's just like this bonding element that happens with their sense of self in this new country by being able to eat the foods that make them feel like they're home. So then this becomes home for them. And then the other story is with Gautier. So Gautier is from the Bubuchu Family Association, which is a community in Cameroon. They have a product that's a staple in all Cameroon cooking, which is called black nightshade. For Gautier, it's really important for him to pass on some of that cultural knowledge to his family, to his kids. So his kids are always out there at the garden, and just learning kind of what happens. And so he's got, you know, visions of potentially being able to kind of supply African markets with a product that typically they just have no ability to access. We had an artist, Shelley. She's a Cree Métis artist, and she does doll making. When Shelley does her doll making, she also does storytelling, and so in the midst of it, she's talking about the Cree creation narrative, which has 7-star people that make up that are part of that narrative, and then she's being translated into Kurmanji. And so the Yazidi women are there, and you hear this kind of hubbub happening. And what we find out later is the fact that in Yazidi religion, they also have 7-star people that are part of their creation narrative. And so once they figured that out, you know, they're saying, oh, we're cousins. And so you have that deep, deep kind of sense of connection. Whereas before, they wouldn't have known that connection was there. And so I think the Land of Dreams provides these opportunities to bring these people together.
We've had other organizations, other service providers across Canada basically reach out about when they hear about the Land of Dreams. We've had a few from Saskatchewan as well as a few from Ontario, and they're not going to replicate exactly as we've kind of, like I said, it's a very kind of organics, a program that kind of morphs into something very different. However, the basic concept of having a place where clients can grow their own vegetables on their own little piece of land are those transferable kind of ideas that people have picked up on. They've also picked up on the idea of using the land as a place for Indigenous teachings, as well as teaching about soil health and about sustainable ways of growing here in Canada. I think that no matter how large or small the community is, I think there is a place for kind of the idea or the concept of using the land and growing as a way to have people connect. It doesn't have to be a huge plot. It could be a community garden for some of those larger urban centers where it's very difficult to get from point A to point B. But there's always community gardens in each urban center. In the smaller centers or the rural areas, obviously, if you can find some land that is reachable for the clients, that's amazing. But also, there's also clients with larger families that might have a backyard. They could practice some of those growing teachings, those learnings in their own backyards. So I think there is a way to kind of, for large and small urban centers, to have a little piece of their own Land of Dreams.
For me, there's a lot of cries that are out there. Mother Earth is probably the loudest cry that I hear. But I hear the cry of disconnection equally loud. And I think if we can connect with Mother Earth, she gives us the resources to then connect with each other. And that's what we desperately need. We've got to stop being divided. Division is not the answer. We've got to come together. We've got to embrace our differences. And that's why we need this. We need this now.